It's 11:40 at night, and the phone lights up the ceiling in 3 quick blue flashes before I even turn my head. I know it's ringing before I hear it. My hand is right there on the nightstand. I don't move it, not yet, maybe not at all. 4 missed calls becomes 5, while I'm still staring at the screen. 5 becomes 6. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not scrolling, not pretending to sleep, just watching the number change like it's a countdown for something I can't name yet. And somehow, that's easier than answering. My thumb finds the red circle before the second ring even finishes. I hover there, not pressing, just close enough to feel like I'm deciding something. I'm not deciding anything. I already know I'm going to let it go to voicemail. I just need a few seconds to pretend otherwise. I hit mute, not decline, like that's some kind of compromise. I tell myself I'll call back in 10 minutes, once I know what to say. I don't call back in 10 minutes. I never do. The phone goes dark again, and I lie there listening to my own heartbeat. The easy answer, the one I'd give if you asked me at a party, is that I'm just busy. I hate small talk on the phone, the pauses, the so anyway after a joke doesn't land. Texting lets me sound normal. Talking live, I never know when to stop making noise so the silence doesn't show. But that's not the whole entry, is it? Underneath the busy excuse, there's something I've circled around in these pages for weeks without actually landing on it. Something about what a ringing phone used to mean before it just meant an inconvenience. I keep writing around it instead of through it. Unknown numbers are the worst of it. No name, just 10 digits and an area code I half recognize, and my brain runs through every bad possibility before the second ring. A scam, a hospital, a collections agency. My stomach drops for a number that half the time just turns out to be a pharmacy reminder. I have 9 voicemails right now. 9. I know the little red number by heart because I refuse to open the app and make it go away. Each one just sits there, unheard, like a small accusation waiting its turn. I tell myself I'll listen this weekend. I've been telling myself that for 6 weeks. There was one call though. The one I actually have to write about eventually, because it's the reason any of this started. I was 23, it was 2 in the morning, and it was my mother's name on the screen, and mothers do not call at 2 in the morning for good news. My father had a heart attack that night. He's fine now, he's fine. I need to write that down clearly so I remember it later. But since that call, every ring at an odd hour rewired something in me. A phone ringing stopped meaning someone wants to talk. It started meaning something is wrong. Now my chest tightens the second I hear the first note of the ringtone, before I've even flipped the phone over to see a name. It's automatic. My body decided a long time ago that ringing equals danger, and no amount of telling myself it's probably just a delivery driver seems to reach it. I'll read the name 3-4 times before I decide anything. Not because I've forgotten who it is, but because I'm negotiating with myself, weighing whether I have enough in me right now for whatever this call might be about. Most nights the answer is no. Most nights I set the phone face down. When it's my mother's name now, I feel guilt before I feel anything else. Not fear exactly, guilt, because some part of me still thinks of that 2 a.m. call and feels like I owe her an answer every single time, and every single time I let it ring anyway. Comfort should be the first feeling. It isn't. I let her call ring all the way out last Tuesday. 6 rings, then the silence after the 6th ring when I know it's gone to voicemail, and I felt sick, actually sick, stomach sick, for a woman who was probably just calling to ask if I wanted her lasagna recipe. That's the gap I live in now. Voicemail is where I've decided it's safe to exist. A recorded voice can't react to my silence, can't hear my breathing change, can't ask a follow-up question I'm not ready for. I can listen to it 3 times, pause it, brace myself, and respond on my own schedule instead of theirs. That control is everything to me now. Texting gives me the same control, just faster. I can write a sentence, delete it, write it again, delete that too, and land on something that sounds like a person who has it together. Nobody sees the 4 drafts before the one I send. Nobody hears the pause where I almost said the true thing instead. On a live call, there's no delete key. Whatever comes out, and I've sat with things I said in real time for years afterward, replaying the exact wrong sentence at 2 in in the morning. Texting means the version of me that panics never actually gets recorded, only the edited one does. There's a specific kind of silence that happens on a phone call when you've said the wrong thing, a beat of dead air before the other person responds, and I have never once been able to sit inside that beat without assuming the worst. That silence feels like a verdict. Texting has no equivalent pause that hurts that much. I answered a call once mid-panic, back when I was 24, and I said something clumsy and too honest to someone I was dating at the time. Something I'd never have typed if I'd had the 10 seconds a text gives you to think. I heard the change in her voice immediately. I couldn't take it back. That exact moment replays every time a new call lights up the ceiling now, whether it makes sense or not. My brain doesn't distinguish between a first date gone wrong 4 years ago and a coworker calling about a schedule change today. It just replays the tape and tells me to let it ring. Okay. That's the surface story, the one about bad timing and one clumsy sentence years ago. It's true, but it's not the actual reason, and I've known that for a while without writing it down. Here's the deeper one, the one I've been circling this entire entry instead of just saying. I'm afraid of being asked for something I don't have to give, whether that's an answer I haven't figured out yet, an apology I'm not ready to say out loud, or money I genuinely don't have. A live voice can ask a direct question and wait there for a direct answer. A text lets me dodge. If I'm honest, and this whole page is supposed to be honest, most of the unknown numbers I avoid are about money. Not all of them, but enough of them that my body has started treating every unfamiliar area code the same way. As a possible bill, I forgot about wearing a stranger's phone number as a disguise. There was a stretch at 22 when a collections line called about a $600 hospital bill from a twisted ankle I never fully paid off, and they called at strange hours from numbers that changed every time. That's when I learned a ring could mean someone wanting something from me I couldn't hand over yet. I let those calls ring out every single time, over and over, until eventually they stopped coming altogether, which felt like winning at the time. It wasn't winning, it was just quiet, and quiet isn't the same thing as resolve, a distinction I did not understand at 22 and I'm only writing down now. While I was congratulating myself on the silence, that $600 bill was doing something quietly in the background. Interest. A late fee, then another one. A note added to a file somewhere with my name on it, growing a little each month while I wasn't looking, because not looking was the entire plan. By 25, that one bill had become almost $1,500 with fees and interest stacked on top of an original $600, and I still have $2,200 of debt sitting on a credit report today that traces back to a phone call I decided not to answer 3 years ago. That's the part that still gets me when I think about it clearly. The call itself lasted maybe 12 seconds before I declined it. The consequence of not answering has now outlived that 12 seconds by 3 years and counting, quietly compounding, long after I stopped thinking about the moment that started it. Every time I let a call ring out, I buy myself maybe an hour of peace, sometimes a full evening if I'm being honest, where I don't have to know whatever the news is. That peace is real. I'm not going to pretend it isn't, because it's the entire reason I keep doing this. But the math never actually works in my favor. An hour of peace tonight costs interest tomorrow, or a harder conversation next week, or a friendship that quietly thins out because I bought peace instead of picking up. I keep making the same trade anyway, because tonight's peace is the only currency I can feel. Somewhere in the last 2 or 3 years, I quietly rewrote the rules of my own life so that texts get answered within the hour, almost always. But an actual ringing phone gets ignored by default, unless I already know exactly why someone is calling. Nobody agreed to this system with me. I just built it alone. A voice does something text can't fake. It carries whatever is actually happening underneath the words, the tiredness, the irritation, the fear, all of it leaking through no matter how calm I try to sound. I can't script a tone of voice in advance. I can absolutely script a sentence, which is exactly why I prefer the sentence. So I perform calm in every text I send, even the ones about things that are quietly wrecking me, because the format rewards a flat, composed sentence over an honest one. People think I'm fine constantly. I'm not always fine. I've just gotten very good at typing the version of myself that sounds like I am. This is the part I almost didn't write down at all. The part I've skipped past twice already tonight before making myself come back to it. It's not really about phones. It's about not trusting the sound of my own voice when I'm actually scared, and how long I've been building my life around avoiding that sound. When I'm scared, my voice does things I can't control, and I've never once liked what it reveals about me in that state. It's not the calm, steady person I'd like to believe I am. It's someone younger, someone less certain, someone who needs something from whoever's on the other end of the line. My voice cracks in the wrong places when I'm scared. It rushes through sentences like it's trying to outrun the feeling behind them, and it says more than I planned, always more, spilling details I meant to keep folded up small. On a call, all of that is just out there, live, with no way to reel it back in. For a long stretch, years really, staying silent felt like the safest possible move available to me. If I didn't answer, I couldn't say the wrong thing. If I didn't say the wrong thing, nobody could see the parts of me that felt unfinished. Silence was armor before it became a habit I couldn't take off. If you're the kind of person who reads other people's notes apps too, who ends up here at midnight scrolling through someone else's unfinished thoughts instead of your own, stick around for this one. I write these entries down regularly, usually later than I should be awake, and I'd rather you hear the messy version than none at all. That's actually the honest reason this notebook exists at all. I write these pages specifically because I can't say most of it out loud. Not to my mother, not to whoever I'm dating, not even to the mirror some nights. Paper doesn't flinch. Paper doesn't need me to sound composed while I figure out what I actually mean. Looking back through years of this, I can trace a few relationships that thinned out, and I can point to almost the exact call where it started. One ignored ring that turned into a habit, that turned into someone learning not to expect much from me on the phone at all. It rarely started as a fight. It started as silence. My friend Priya used to call me almost every Sunday, just to talk about nothing, and I let 3 Sundays in a row go to voicemail before she quietly switched to texting only. She never brought it up. She just adjusted, the way people do when they learn what you're actually available for, even if you never said it out loud. It took about 8 months for that friendship to fade into the kind of texting where we both know we're not really talking anymore, just exchanging occasional emojis on each other's posts. 8 months. From every Sunday to almost nothing, and it traces back to a handful of rings I let go because talking felt like too much that week. I told myself for years that friendship wasn't all that important to me, that I was busy building something, that I preferred a Tuesday night alone to a group chat making plans I'd have to cancel anyway. I said it so many times it started to sound true, even to me, even at 2 in the morning when nobody had texted in 9 days. Okay. That's the easy version. The surface explanation, the one I could say out loud at a dinner I almost didn't go to. Here's the actual version, the one I've been circling for 4 pages now without landing on it. It wasn't that friendship stopped mattering. It was that mattering to someone else started feeling like a debt I couldn't guarantee I'd pay back. The true one is this. I chose control over actual connection every single time for about 6 years running. Control meant nobody could catch me at a bad moment. Control meant I decided when I looked fine and when I disappeared. Connection meant someone might see the 41 unread messages, the dishes from Sunday, the version of me that wasn't managing anything at all. Every avoided call was a small door closing quietly, not slammed, only eased shut so nobody heard the latch. I didn't experience it as loss in the moment. I experienced it as relief, clean and immediate, like setting down something heavy. It took years to notice the room getting smaller, one door at a time, until I was standing in something closer to a hallway than a house. I started counting, actually counting, how many people had stopped trying altogether. Not people I'd lost touch with by accident, people who used to call on my birthday, or after a bad day, or for no reason at all, and then quietly stopped. I got to 11 names before I had to put the notebook down and sit with what 11 actually meant. Fewer people call now than used to call regularly, and I don't mean a little fewer. 4 years ago, I'd get calls most weekdays. Last month, I counted 3 calls total, and 2 of those were my mother. That's the actual, factual shape of what 6 years of choosing control looks like. Not a feeling, a number I can write down and stare at. I finally admitted, tonight, sitting with a notebook open longer than usual, that the phone itself was never the real problem. The ringing never hurt me. The screen lighting up never hurt me. I built an entire identity around being unreachable and called it independence, called it boundaries, called it being busy, when really it was easier than finding out if anyone would still be there. I was the one who made silence feel safer than an actual conversation could ever feel. Nobody did that to me. I did it, deliberately, one unanswered call at a time, until quiet became the default setting of my whole life. That's the part I've been avoiding writing for 3 nights straight, because saying it in my own handwriting makes it real in a way that thinking it never quite managed. Writing this down took longer than I expected tonight. I've rewritten the paragraph about choosing control over connection 4 separate times, because I kept softening it and then crossing the softened version out. It's almost 1 in the morning now. I started this entry at 9. That's 4 hours to admit something I could have said out loud in about 10 seconds, if I'd ever let myself. I picked up my phone twice while writing this entry, both times because it buzzed on the nightstand and rolled out. It still pulls my hand toward it before thought catches up. The first time it was a name I hadn't seen in maybe 5 months. The second time it was a number I didn't recognize at all. No caller ID, only 10 unfamiliar digits sitting there. Both times I put it back down without answering, screen facing away, like I couldn't be tempted if I couldn't see it light up again. Old reflex, same as always. But this time something was different. This time I noticed myself doing it in real time, mid-sentence, and I wrote that noticing down instead of letting the moment pass the way I have for 6 years. The nightstand light is still blinking as I write this. That small green pulse that means a voicemail is sitting there unheard. I can see it from here without turning my head. It's been blinking for 11 minutes. I know because I've been timing it instead of doing anything about it, which is either the most honest or the most pathetic thing I've written tonight. I still don't know if I'll answer it tonight. I want to write that I will, that this entry ends with me finally picking up, but that would be a lie, and I promised myself no more of those in here. So instead I'll say the light is still blinking, my hand is still on the notebook and not the phone, and I honestly don't know yet.